Hi guys, I'm David with Media Unlocked, and today we're going to be talking about streaming and doing that wirelessly. Now, when I mean wirelessly, I mean actually being able to go to a park or a function that doesn't have Wi-Fi and actually being able to stream live video footage to the internet. Now, of course, if the place that you're doing doesn't have Wi-Fi, some of those options are going to be hotspots, and that's what you're going to have to use. Hotspots have finally gotten to where they're fast enough to where you can stream live 720 to 1080p footage right to the internet. Now, granted, a hotspot's going to run you a couple $100s for that device and at least probably $80 to $100 a month. But again, spending that kind of money so that you can live stream a ceremony at a wedding for a client, you can upcharge them $500+ to actually live stream it, as due to this virus this year, we have less and less people showing up to these kind of events, but they still want to be involved. And one of those ways is live streaming to the internet, like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. As well, if you are a Twitch streamer and you want to go wire free, say you want to go play basketball or frisbee disc golf or go hang out into the park, well, guess what? This setup is going to work for you in the aspect of streaming live to the internet without actually being at the house connected to a Wi-Fi router. Now, granted, if you have a backyard and you want to be and you have Wi-Fi at the house and it's super fast, but you want to do something fun and exciting for your streamers outside that the device can still connect to the Wi-Fi signal at your house, that is an option as well. So I'm going to show you everything that I use to set this up. Now, of course, we're going to use our Sony a7 III, as well as the Feiyutech AK4500 and a little cold shoe mount off to the side. So if you notice, this is going to be my main streaming device, far as this is going to allow me to be mobile and stream right to my laptop. So again, camera, gimbal, a couple cold shoe mounts. When it comes to transmitting the and receiving the signal, the wireless 1080p signal, we use the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. These things are amazing and they are a must-have for this setup if you want to be wireless. But it's really cool in the way that it is set up. So again, I would look into these. They're about $650. I have another video kind of talking about how I use them and what I use them for. You can hit that link right here. Just hit the little thing, comes out, click that video. It's going to be amazing. So you have these guys. For audio, we use the Sony UTX-B2 and the Sony URX-P2. Now you can pick a set of these wireless audio transmitters and receivers for about $250 to $300 on eBay if they're still around. These are a tank. They're amazing. And they'll give you about 300 feet of line of sight as well. The transmitters and receivers will give you, the Mars 400S Pros here, will give you 400 feet of line of sight. You do get that knocked down pretty quickly if you're trying to go through really thick walls or metal. It may not transmit the signal as well. The other thing you're going to need is a capture card and some kind of device to capture it too. So I have a MacBook Pro, however, I use the Elgato HD60S Plus because it works with Macs. Some of the older Elgato stuff does not work with Macs, so I specifically got this. You could run multiple capture cards if you wanted, if you had multiple setups like this. So you could have 2 or 3 cameras going at the same time, use Streamlabs to jump between the different camera angles, which is really, really cool. So of course you are going to need a device to stream with. You are going to need a capture card if you're going to be using a DSLR, which is what we got here. And then if you're out and about, say again, going back to the park scenario, you're out in the park. One of the things that we want to do is we want to live stream some of our frisbee disc golf playing. You are going to need extra power. So I have invested in a handful of these power banks. I have a few more. These will keep the transmitters and receivers powered up. These will keep the camera powered up. This will keep the gimbal powered up. They'll also, this bigger one right here by Rab Power, who makes amazing battery bank stuff. I love Rab Power's power banks, all the different options that they have. That will keep my MacBook Pro 15-inch 2018 maxed out laptop. It will keep it with power so that it will last longer, so I don't run through power in, let's say, an hour, hour and a half of streaming. I can now extend that for a few more hours, which is great. Now, as far as the hotspots are going, we talked a little bit about hotspots. One of the options is using your device. Now, depending on who you have for your carrier and how much hotspot speed they give you, how fast it is. I have T-Mobile, they give me 4G speeds. However, their 4G speeds of 20 gigabytes is really not that fast in my area with the phone, so I would actually have to get an actual hotspot device. So you would use a hotspot device say from Verizon or AT&T, who seems to have the fastest devices as well as the fastest speeds. I have looked into this. T-Mobile has pretty fast speeds. The problem is that their devices are way too old. So I'm waiting for them to come out with a new Hotspot, which I will get that, and then I'll be on their plan as I'm already a T-Mobile customer. But you would connect wirelessly to your hotspot via your computer, and then all that signal that you have will be sent from the camera to the capture card to the computer to the internet. So how do we set all that up on a gimbal? It's pretty simple. So one of the first things that we got to do is we got to grab our transmitter that's going to transmit the signal that our camera is taking. So we will plug our transmitter in here, and then of course we got to get audio. So we're going to take our audio device right here, and we'll plug that to the side of this cold shoe mount, and we'll just make sure everything is nice and tight. So once I do that, with the AK4500 by Feiyutech, I don't like a lot of cords just floating around, so I will run it up through here, and then I will double take around here. And let's see, that's not going to give me enough. So right here, and then we'll just plug the audio right into the device right here. So let's plug the audio here. The biggest thing is I don't want these cords to get in the way as I'm moving my device, right? So as my device moves, I don't want these cords. I want these cords to be out of the way and not to mess with the flow. So lock this back in. And then we'll run let me grab, I need an HDMI cable here. So I'm going to run the HDMI cable from the back of the transmitter. And again, we will run that up through the gimbal here. And again, I want a little bit of slack. So I'm going to make sure I have some slack here, but I want those cords to not get in the way at all. So, and if I need a little bit more room here, so that cords aren't going to get in the way. And so now what will happen is that the camera will send a signal to the transmitter. The transmitter will send a signal to here wirelessly, right? So they're not going to be next to each other. That will send a signal into your Elgato HD 60S Plus. So again, I've got a full wireless setup that I can use at a wedding or just on the go, right? An on the go streaming setup. This is so cool. And then I will run audio. Here is the audio. You can run audio into the camera. The other option is if you don't want that extra device in there. The really cool thing about the Elgato is, and what we can do is we can run this cord back out of here, because I will show you another thing that the Elgato does. This is why I'm a big Elgato fan when it comes to streaming. Is if you don't want that extra device plugged in directly, because you just want to save on some weight. So what you can do is actually plug the receiver right into your Elgato right here. So it will actually receive the audio. So the person will be mic'd up here. So you'll have a mic on them here. And then it will transmit the audio right into here, and then that will transmit it into your stream. I believe there's a setting, like I just had it set up to where you can transmit audio out of your camera into the Elgato this way. Again, all of this is wireless, right? So you have this whole kit right here with the computer. You have this kit here. You have audio with another person over here. Now let's just say this is a hotspot. You're gonna need that hotspot, gotta have the hotspot, and then you've gotta have backup power. So again, we've got the video capture stuffs here. We're transmitting it with the Mars 400S Pro into this kit right here, the Elgato capture card, the receiver, the audio receiver, into your streaming. And of course, what ties everything in is you're going to need some form of hotspot if you're not using your in-house Wi-Fi. Now, if we were just to shoot something right here, right now, and I did not want to have cords, I wanted to be wireless, my Wi-Fi is more than capable of being fast enough to stream right now. And so we would stream all of this into here and not need the hotspot. Of course, you got to mic up your individual and extra power, right? You got to have extra power. So this is something you may not have to have, but this is very important that you do have if you plan to do a lot of streaming and you have no way to keep this stuff plugged in and powered. A lot of this stuff could be plugged into the wall depending on where you're stationed and how you're set up. Like I said, if you're at a church and let's say they have good Wi-Fi and you want to keep everything powered on. So you can take all of this and make sure that like this is powered via wall. So you may want a power strip or something like that. But again, you're all wireless here. You have a full streaming setup, all thanks to the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. I'm a huge fan of this device because this is going to change the way that I do work for my clients in the future. And it's going to give me a whole new set of options that a lot of people are not offering, which is high quality streaming wirelessly that is mobile. So wherever I go, as long as I have good internet signal through my hotspot, I've got a wireless setup. I can stream right to the internet. It's pretty amazing. So anyways, that is our streaming setup here at Media Unlocked. What's up, guys? I'm David with Media Unlocked. So you guys are probably watching, some of you may be watching this live, however others may be finishing up the end of my sit down talking head about live streaming. Yesterday, or a few days ago, we got on and did some live streaming stuff, and we ran into some issues with Streamlabs. So today we just try OBS Broadcaster, which works a lot better than Streamlabs. We've figured out the audio issues, so now the audio is coming straight from the camera into our Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. And that's what we're using to actually transmit signal so that we can actually have wireless video. So we should be getting a full 720p. Hopefully we won't be having audio drop. If we do have some audio drop, I think that's going to be more to the wireless audio setup that we have. But because the audio setup now is connected to the gimbal with the transmitter, we're not going to be walking away from the audio, which is going to be really nice. Unlike yesterday where we actually had to walk away a couple hundred feet and the audio dropped. And the video was a little bit So we were only getting like 480 through Streamlabs yesterday, which I don't understand why. So now we should be getting a full 720p to 1080p through OBS. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do a circle around the yard, and then we'll go back inside. I will show you what we've got set up so you guys can see. It's only like 4 or 5 pieces outside of battery banks if you use those. But mainly what we're doing is we have a gimbal, we have a camera, we have the Mars 400S Pro transmitter and receiver. It's a wireless signal. It transmits the video signal into like a monitor or a laptop, whatever you need to connect into. And then we have a transmitter and receiver for audio. And then of course the laptop and the Elgato 60S Plus, I believe is what it's called. And that's all we're doing to get wireless streaming. Now, when it comes to Wi-Fi aspects of things, we are using the in-house Wi-Fi, which works much better than, let's say, a hotspot. However, if you don't have Wi-Fi as an option, using the hotspot on your phone or buying yourself a hotspot and then getting a hotspot plan, unless you're in a very rural area where there isn't very good Wi-Fi signal or cell signal, you should be able to use a hotspot. It's just a little bit pricier, but it does give you the option to get that wireless streaming set up, especially for you videographers and photographers out there that may need it for weddings or different types of events. So, but we've kind of been very stationary this whole time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually move. We're just gonna make a circle around the yard, and so we can see how that signal is playing back to you guys. And then we'll go back inside the house. I'll show you the setup. And then I'll pop up a little bit of video right here for the actual video where we have the talking head, and we're kind of incorporating this piece as well into that next video that we're putting out on Media Unlocked. And I'll show you what Noah's actually got going on his setup, so you guys can see what Noah's doing, and we can see what the computer and all the setup inside is. So let's take a walk around. The main reason that we're doing this is just so you guys can see how the signal transmits when it's being mobile as well. Well, we should be thinking about line of sight. It's very important for the 400 feet, and then the audio, I believe, gets around 200 to 300 feet. Again, that is all line of sight. So the TV or the computer and the setup's all inside the house, but we do have line of sight of it because it's got all these windows, as you guys can probably notice here. I'll let Noah kind of pan over, but we've got all these windows. Right here, we actually have live bamboo growing in our house. And so that line of sight shouldn't be an issue there. But it's really wet outside, and I didn't want to get any of the equipment dirty or wet. So I left it inside, and we shouldn't be having an issue. So hopefully when I get back to the computer, we still have signal and everything is working great. So it's actually pretty warm out here today, though. A lot warmer than I thought it would be. It feels good. So before we go in, I'm going to grab a little bit of video of Noah, and then I'll add that to the actual finalized video that we're going to put out on Media Unlocked. So we'll do slow motion because slow motion is so cool. But so this is Noah's setup right here. So as you guys can see, we have the camera here, and then we've got everything hooked there to the gimbal. We've got the wires kind of set up. We could probably actually secure these a little bit better. And then we've got the audio and the video transmission there. So that's how we're actually recording the video. So let's go inside and take a look at the equipment that we have set up inside. Yeah, it looks like we're still streaming pretty good. So, so this is the equipment that we're actually using. So we have the MacBook Pro 2018 15-inch completely maxed out. And then the only thing that we really have hooked into the computer is the receiver, which could cause the signal to go out because you do not want to touch this HDMI piece on the back. Sometimes the signal will go out for a second. So this is the receiver, and then we just got the receiver running into the Elgato HD60S Plus, and then it's transmitting right into YouTube. And that is how we're doing our whole setup. So that is pretty much wireless streaming at its best. Where we're at right now. I can't wait till we can get to 4K, but we're just not there. And probably the I don't know, what do you think 4K would take? I bet you the up for 4K consumer, like on our level, would probably be 20, 30 megabytes maybe. I don't know what you would need for good up for 4K, but when we get there, it's going to be awesome. So right now, 720p, 1080p is about what you're going to get. And that's going to put you right at 5 megabytes to 10 megabytes up to the internet. So you will need that kind of speed from your hotspot, or, well, we're using in-house Wi-Fi, which is pretty quick. So that is the live stream. That is, we just want to test this out, see how the audio went. And, so hopefully anybody that watched us live, awesome. And for those of you watching the actual edited version of the video, if you got any questions, comments, of course, leave them down below. And as always, guys, we'll catch you next time.
Let's go.